Hello everyone and welcome back to SAFC Fan TV. After seeing off Accrington Stanley away at the Crown Ground in our last game, picking up a 2-0 victory with the debutant Ross Stewart and again Charlie Wank getting on the score sheet, we now welcome Lincoln City to the Stadium Line on Saturday for a 3 o'clock kickoff. The last time we played Lincoln was just over a month ago. We drew 1-1 in the 90 minutes and then took them to penalties and won on penalties, sending us to the final of the Papa John's Trophy, and we all know how that went previously in the season. Despite Lincoln really being the team to beat and been a real strong outfit earlier on, we actually managed to beat them 4-0 away at the Sincil Bank Stadium. But we now, as I say, have a home game to play them. And joining me to preview the game, get a little bit of insight into the opposition, is Ben Ward. Ben is part of the Stacey West blog and he's a massive Lincoln fan. And here's what me and Ben have to say.
All right, well, Ben. Ben, first and foremost, happy birthday, of course. But how are you getting on? It's a wonderful Wednesday afternoon up in the northeast.
I mean, it's in theory, it's wonderful here. Yeah, I mean, as I say, it's my birthday today. But if you're talking in general Lincoln City fan terms, it's not the best of times at the moment. Yeah. We seem to be we've hit a bit of a blip, I think some people are calling it.
Yeah, it seems as if the wheels have fallen off. I mean, just getting your recent results here since you played us last month, of course. I mean, last night, obviously, a 3-0 loss to Gillingham, but as well in there, since you played us, we've got a 4-3 loss to Plymouth Argyle, 2-1 loss to Fleetwood, and a 2-1 loss to Rochdale, in amongst a couple of wins and draws. I mean, how come the wheels have just fallen off?
I mean, we've had some terrible luck with injuries recently. I mean, we've had Joe Walsh, who was arguably our first choice centre back. We've had Liam Bridcut, club captain, and just rocking the centre midfield. George Grant as well. He got a freak injury against Plymouth in that game where I think he kind of rolled his ankle and had the ball driven in, and it hit his ankle at exactly the moment he went over on it, which was. I mean, it looked horrific, and you could hear the screams in the commentary. We've got Adam Jackson, who, by all accounts, seems to be playing about 50% fit, so they're not entirely sure there. It's easy to put the blame on injuries, but we've just not been playing well at all. I don't know why, but people don't seem to be gelling. Couple of dips in form, whether that's people kind of accepting the fact that yes, they're gonna have their place regardless. I don't know. It's been a really frustrating few weeks. I mean, you take aside, I think the Plymouth game was a bit of a freak result, and honestly, that was just, if you're a neutral watching that game back, hell of a game to watch. But as a Lincoln fan, it was the ultimate roller coaster.
Yeah.
But then, we played really well against Crewe. We played really well for 45 minutes against Ipswich. And then kind of sat back on a 1-0 and let that slide. But the past two games have just been really frustrating to watch, and I wish I could tell you what's gone wrong, but I can't. It's just how it is.
Yeah, I think Prewson spoke, correct if I'm wrong, but George Grant was a real linchpin in the team. I think Tom Hopper's quite a good target man. And one of the things you touched on was that the squad is so flexible and that kind of anyone can fill in anywhere. And there's not necessarily the first team and reserves. The reserves can kind of fill in. But I mean, I know you've been struggling lately, but in terms of strong points now, I mean, what do you look to try to do? And, you know, if you do have a success, what does it tend to be down to? I love that reaction.
I mean, honestly, at the minute, from going off the past two games, there hasn't really been a huge amount to shout about. I think we looked relatively good going forward last night against Gillingham. Against Rochdale, there was just nothing. We just didn't have the drive and the kind of commitment that was there earlier in the season. Liam Bridcut came back last night against Gillingham. Started the game, lasted an hour, so he's obviously still not 100% fit. Yeah. But I think going forward last night we looked okay. We've still, obviously we didn't score last night. I don't think we really got too many shots on target. But I'll be honest with you, I am genuinely worried that we're going to get battered on Saturday. I think we need to have some sort of reaction from the players, because it seems like there's just a few players that have been completely anonymous. over the past couple of games, and it's, you know, a couple of players have come out after the games and said that they know their performances haven't been that great. And yeah, it's so hard to kind of try and put some positives together after, you know, what has been a phenomenal season for us so far. Yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, if you'd have told me at the start of the season you're more than likely going to finish in the playoffs, I would have laughed at you, because, you know, I think this is kind of the intermediate season where we've had a big change over the past few years with the Cowleys leaving and Michael coming in. And I think this was the season where he was going to get his team together and kind of build on that. Mm-hmm. But really, the fact that he's just taken us, you know, we were top of the league for quite a while, and, you know, in the top two for a while. I think anybody that's really criticising Lincoln City at the minute, I think probably needs to give the head a bit of a wobble, because I don't think anyone expected us to be in this position. Yeah. But it is frustrating to see, having had such a massive, you know, hugely successful run.
Yeah, I mean, it seems clear that, of course, the injuries is what's really hurt you. But when you're on the pitch and you're conceding goals and losing games, is there a common theme in terms of he tends to do this, he always tends to be out of position? Like, I think the last two games we've seen a bit of a recent improvement in him, but our left back, Callum McFadden, just seems to make loads of mistakes all the time. So that's something that I would pinpoint and say, you know, we tend to concede a goal through him in most games. Is there anything like that at Lincoln, or is it difficult to pinpoint?
It's just been really silly mistakes, like sloppy, like simple things. I mean, if you look at the first goal from last night against Gillingham, the ball comes across, and Oliver had all the time in the world to just pick his spot and just put a really cushioned header in, and he's 6 yards out. You know, it's not rocket science to get somebody on him. And I think you see when the cross comes in, there's 5 people around the player that's putting the cross in. It's really simple stuff like that. And I think the past couple of games as well, we've had a few shots go in from distance that have caught Palmer wrong-footed. So I don't know. I mean, he's improving on that side of things. You know, he made a couple of good saves last night. And to be honest, you know, despite conceding 3, he was my man of the match, because I think we probably would have conceded 5 or 6 otherwise. But it's, yeah, I don't know. It's the simple things at the minute that seem to be letting us down, which is frustrating, because, as I said, you know, when we put a few passes together, you know, for example, Morgan Rogers' goal against Rochdale, wonderful goal, like really, really nice football leading up to it. And, you know, we can put a move like that together in the middle of an awful performance. And just get the easy things right. And I think we're probably going to be, you know, probably be all right. But like I said, I'm quaking in my boots a little bit.
Yeah. Obviously, when injuries happen and you tend to shift things around, I mean, we've seen it ourselves. We've had centre mids playing centre back. We've had left backs playing everywhere. Well, maybe not that one, but we've had players playing all over the pitch out of position. What kind of formation have you been playing recently, though?
We've basically stuck with the same formation. Yeah. I think we've, you know, as I said to you before, we've had that flexibility in the players. You know, I think Teo Eden has done really, really well this season. I think some Lincoln fans have been very, very critical of him, but I'm not one of them. I think he's had, you know, he does blow a bit hot and cold. He's not on it every single week, but he's stepped up when he needed to. And I think when Bridcut's been out, he's been the one that stepped into that central midfield role and actually kind of made it his own. So, I mean, it's a similar formation. It's just kind of rotating the players around. And yeah, I think possibly we'll see TJ Ioma make a return to the team on Saturday. And possibly, you know, if Bridcut does start again, I think we'll probably see more or less the same lineup as we saw against Gillingham, except possibly Tom Hopper, who went off with a hamstring injury last night.
Oh God, Tom Hopper's meant to be a decent player as well, isn't he? But so it's like a 4-1-4-1 come 4-3-3 with the holding midfielder in the midfield.
Yeah, pretty much like a 4-2-3-1 kind of situation.
Yeah. But Tom Hopper is an important player for you, isn't he? Him getting injured. I mean, how do you see yourselves coping with that, really?
If you'd have asked me this 2 months ago, I would have said season over. The fact is that we've got Callum Morton coming back off, a couple of long-term injuries. I just think Tom Hop has been criminally underrated by some fans this season, because I think you look at the goals tally and he's not getting 20 goals a season. He's not, make the obvious comparison, he's not Charlie Wyke. But he's
no one's Charlie Wyke.
He does all of that, the dirty work. He does the hold up play. He does the he does kind of the stuff that needs to be done up front. But with him playing as kind of like a lone striker with the two wingers either side of him, sometimes it doesn't quite pay off as I think he needs it to. But I think he's going to be a big miss if this is a serious injury, or if it's going to keep him out for a couple of weeks. I think the benefit to us is that we've not got any Tuesday games for a couple of weeks now.
Yeah,
so we can
look at you.
We can. Yeah. I mean, we've had Saturday, Tuesday since. Excuse me. I think Saturday, Tuesday since around January, if not before now. So it's just been brutal for the lads.
His name's not over the top of your head, but the new lad he mentioned coming in up front. What do you see him bringing? What type of player is he? A similar player, different, or?
Callum Morton, was that? Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry, his name went over.
Yeah. Sorry. So I mean, Callum was. I think he was. I want to say he was. I think he was at Northampton last season, and he really kind of came into his own in there, in the back half of the season for them and got them into the playoffs. He's a different player to Tom. I think he is kind of what you'd imagine as a typical number 9. He gets his head down, runs at goal, and he's only got one thing on his mind when he gets the ball. We've not seen a huge amount of him. I think due to a bit of the dip in form, we saw him for a couple of games at the start of the season. And then he got injured. Then when he's come back, the first game back, he scored a fantastic goal. Really showed really good composure to stick it away. And I think he's got a little bit more pace than Tom Hopper has. I think that's probably the one area that Tom's a bit, maybe missing. But I think overall, he is a completely, they would personally. I think they play really well together in, as a duo. We did try that last night against Gillingham, but unfortunately, there was performances elsewhere that kind of negated them being on the pitch. So he's a good player, and I'm just really hoping that things can start to click again soon.
Yeah, so you mentioned that Morton, and I know you're not really confident at all, but in terms of players that we do have to look out for, is there anyone else that could potentially cause us some problems, whether it be attackers, defenders, midfielders, whatever?
I think Morgan Rogers is obviously, he's the one at the moment. Frustratingly, again, like before the Ipswich game, a lot of Lincoln fans were calling for him to be dropped because they were saying, he doesn't track back enough, he doesn't do, he doesn't do the defensive legwork.
Yeah.
And then he pulled a goal out of the top drawer, which I think on our Match Day Live, I said it was better than Messi striking the Champions League the other week. It was just a peach of a goal.
Was it quite Aidan McGeady standard though?
I'll probably go a little bit higher than that.
Yeah, you've got Messi standard, and then you've got McGeady standard. Difficult to compare.
That's true. We'll have Rogers standard there as well then.
All right, okay.
But yeah, like Morgan Rogers has been, he's been pretty good for his past couple of games. He scored against Rochdale, as I said, and that was a wonderful goal. I mean, Brennan Johnson seems to be blowing a bit hot and cold at the minute, and obviously, I think the biggest thing that we've been missing has been Liam Bridcut. So with Brids back in the side, I hope he's gotten over, what was. Like I said, obviously a very disappointing game. I think a lot of the lads will probably be getting over that. But if we can put a performance together that we know we're capable of, I think definitely, Morton, Rogers and Bridcut are going to be the key parts of the team.
Yeah. Just before we wrap things up, mate, and I'm going to give mine in the outro because, of course, we've still got a game to play tonight, and that'll dictate a lot what I think. But going into the game, a prediction for yourself.
I don't want to be negative. That's the problem. I just think, honestly, if we play like we did last night and Saturday, I can only see us. I can't see us coming away with anything. The run you guys seem to have been on at the moment. there's a part of me that's thinking it's got to come to an end at some point. I'd love it to be Saturday. I would love it to be Saturday.
I think it was our semi-final game. I mean, I think we had results before that, but that was one of the first games in this one that really kicked us on. Looking back, really, I think winning on penalties especially.
Yeah. I mean, that was it was the kind of game where it was like, well, it was obviously going to go to penalties, from about halfway through the second half.
It was an awful.
It was. Yeah, it was. It was a tough game to watch from our point of view. But yeah, I honestly can't see us coming away with anything unless we get the response that I think we need to. And then I'd probably say a draw. As much as I'd love to see it, I can't see us taking 3 points.
Sitting on the fence, Ben. Come on, have you got a number in mind?
It depends. I mean, I said if we could keep White quiet in the semi-final, then we'd be all right. But I don't think we'll be able to keep him quiet on Saturday. Yeah. I think
to be fair, you did right up until that very last moment when it was some header that to hit it back across yourself. A great header, not something we would have expected of him only a few months ago.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I don't know. I think if we can keep our heads, I think we'll probably come away. Maybe get a goal, probably come away 1-1, but otherwise, I think I can't really see anything other than possibly 2-0 Sunderland.
Wow. Well, hopefully there's that. Anyway, Ben, thanks for joining us.
No worries, man. Cheers.
Given Lincoln's recent poor form, the fact that we've now won 7 out of our last 8 league games, keeping absolutely loads of clean sheets, and we're really smashing this now, aren't we? I'm really confident going into this game. Of course, don't take any game lightly, and again, it's one of those potential banana skins where they haven't been in the best form recently. They could be right up for, we could be the team to set them going again. But I don't believe that's going to happen. I've got faith that we're going to see this game out as we have done a lot recently. Just to touch on team news, obviously slightly in terms of injuries, it appears things are all up in the air. I've heard Flanagan's going to have to miss this one. Now, but Conor McLaughlin should be fine. I thought McLaughlin's actually done a better job than Flanagan has at centre back in so far this season. Anyway, Jake Vautin's came in all last game. I thought he actually did a decent job. I think McFadden probably had his 2 best performances in the Sunderland shirt against Portsmouth and Tranmere, so I was a little bit surprised to see him taken out then. I didn't think it quite made the most sense, but having said that, he was the only left back available for the final. Was Johnson just keeping him in for that purpose? But regardless of what happened, I thought Vautin did a decent job when he came in. Not spectacular, but the most assured. He's looking at the Sunderland shirt, and I thought he actually looked as if he fit into the team. Alternatively, I thought Jack Diamond didn't have a great game, so I wouldn't be too keen on seeing him keeping his spot in the team. Who else do you bring in? I think Chris Maguire's great off the bench, but I can see why people would want to bring him in. In terms of other options, hopefully either Jordan Jones or Aidan O'Brien's back in the team. We all know what Jordan Jones contributes, and I've said it a few times. I think with Aidan O'Brien, he does a lot of the dog work up front. I think another player who could potentially do that for us, though, is Ross Stewart, who, of course, made his debut in the last game, came on for the last half and scored a great header. And I actually think we had a bit more of a footing in the game as soon as he came on. I thought we had a little, not massively, but the second half stepped it up from the first half. We just seemed to have that bit more control in the game, and we seem to actually be able to get forward and get Accrington Stanley in there. I think what they brought more than anything was a real physicality, and I think Ross Stewart just kind of counteracted that and fought back against it a little bit, and we were able to just have a bit more of the ball and actually attack a little bit more with them being on the pitch. Don't get me wrong, the difference wasn't massive, but I think it was definitely notable, at least in my opinion. Anyway, some people might disagree, but that's just football, isn't it? So I would like to see Ross Stewart come in again, whether it's, I don't know if he's fit enough to play a full game. Obviously, he came on for the second half in our previous game. But he might be able to, you just don't, you don't know what his fitness is like, but I think he could be a little bit like Aidan O'Brien, where what I think about Aidan O'Brien is he tends to get out wide, run the channels, drop a little bit deeper, work hard, win the ball back, get it moving, and make a lot of the runs that you maybe don't see, that kind of leave White in a little bit of space, relieve responsibility from White to just focus on finishing. And it's those instinct to finish. I think it's 26 out of his 27 goals he scored this season. That statistic might be wrong, so off the top of my head. Have actually been first touch finishers. And I think White's able to just focus on getting on those areas where he can do that because he's got O'Brien next to him. However, I think with Ross Stewart, he's tall. He looks as if he's relatively quick. He looks as if he's quite strong. He had no problem getting out wide and dropping a bit deeper and working hard and winning headers. They could work really well together. I don't know what Johnson's plan is, but I wouldn't mind seeing them work together in a 4-4-2 of sorts. Really, but going into the game, I am going to predict a 2-0 Sunderland victory. Again, after we 2-0 Accrington Stanley, hopefully we can carry that through. it's probably not really a better time to play Lincoln. Really, their form isn't brilliant. Well, that's putting it like they've completely fallen off, really. And as much as it could be one of those games where they look to regain form, I don't think that's going to happen. But I'm going to leave it there, everyone. Thank you for watching. Of course, I hope you have enjoyed the preview. Leave me your thoughts in the comments, and I'll get down and see what people are saying. Please do like the video if you haven't already. Be massively appreciated. Subscribe to SAFC Fan TV if you haven't already, and we've had absolutely loads of new subscribers recently, and we really do appreciate it. But from myself, Jack Dodds, I will see you for the watch along of the game, which will be going live 30 minutes before kickoff. Thank you everyone for watching, and I'll see you then.